Oh man, I wish I knew all the different types of food that had gluten in it because I would definitely avoid them. But some of the kind of culprits that you don't think about are when you're cooking and maybe you use like spice mixes instead of just pepper or just plain salt. A lot of the times they put gluten into those mixes just to hold things together or for whatever purpose. But then you use it and you get super sick, so you have to look at the back and see that there's gluten in it. Another one is oatmeal. Oatmeal in and of itself doesn't contain gluten, but typically what happens is farmers, they grow the grains and stuff and they mix their crops. And so that's where cross-contamination occurs. Potato chips sometimes have gluten in them, which you're like, why would something like that ever have gluten? But I guess they want it. And so you just have to be very careful with everything that you eat and look at. So obvious foods, you've got bread, pasta. Some less obvious ones is you've got those rice packets, kind of instant rice that sometimes have flavoring and stuff in them. You look at them, they've got gluten. You take a look at canned beans sometimes, you have to look at the back, they've got gluten. You take a look at, I'm trying to think of some of the more, luckily fruit snacks don't have gluten. Like, that's a blessing from heaven. But a lot of times candy, some forms of candy, like some obvious ones, like Snickers, you're probably going to have some gluten in there. But some not obvious ones, I can't think of any of those off the top of my head. But as you walk through the grocery store, I'm just trying to take a mental trip. Oh, meat. Lots of the times, like when Macy's or a store has processed the meat themselves and they put, the culprit there is seasonings again. They put their own seasoning or own rub on it. And lots of the time they don't come out and say this product contains gluten, but you have to be careful because of the seasoning as well. Unfortunately, pizza has gluten. It's a really sad day for all of us because gluten-free pizza is not the same as normal pizza, whatever they tell you. Sometimes it's nasty. Other foods that contain gluten that you wouldn't think about. It's tricky because I try to avoid all of them now. Cereal, you have to be careful with cereal, just in general. Luckily, the Cheerios cereal brand is now gluten-free. And they're all oat-based, but they were able to go through and sift out all of the wheat, the barley, and the rye, which are the three main culprits for when you have gluten contamination. So I don't know, really, when you're trying to see if it has gluten or not in it or not, you have to check everything at the store. And so shopping takes way longer than it should because you're looking at the label, trying to see if it has gluten in it or not. And then sometimes a lot of the factories will say, be careful because this food was processed on equipment that also processes fish or nuts or wheat or dairy or soy or something else that the other people are allergic to. So as much as I want to say, everything contains gluten, it kind of feels that way. Maybe it's because I can't eat anything else, but you do have to check almost every label. So I feel like you should watch your diet no matter what, especially if you're celiac or you have a digestive issue. I haven't noticed any adverse effects because sugar typically doesn't have gluten in it, especially if it's just pure sugar. And admittedly, when I have a celiac attack and I need lots of energy, obviously I'm eating the apples. Apples are something really good that I eat because they're a natural body cleanser. But if I need a lot of energy real quick, I will go grab some sugary candy and eat it. And you can slay me on social media because it's not healthy or whatever, and you just get a spike or something. But it's a quick, convenient food to help you get back on your feet. Now, does that mean that I like to go and eat candy all the time? I try not to. I'm just like the average, young adult. But I don't know of any really adverse effects besides the fact that if you overload on anything, you're going to regret it later.